Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Westman Plan Commission meeting for April 6th. Note that we do have a quorum with all commissioners present and accounted for. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's right.
All right. Hope everybody's buckled in for a long meeting. We have 16 items on our agenda. The first being approval of the minutes, the Plan Commission regular meeting minutes for March 1st.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Starl. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to development proposals, project plan A. Number 1, a public hearing and approval of a resolution designating proposed boundaries and approving project plan for tax incremental district number 6 by the City of West Bend. The applicant and agent are us as well. And we'll start this off with a presentation by Mark Petrovich.
Good evening. The item before you today is a resolution that would approve the changed boundaries and approve an amended project plan for tax incremental district number 6. It is simply an amendment to add an additional parcel. It's the current DOT-owned park and ride lot that Menards is proposing to acquire and would end up being having their development extended into, in order for the property to be combined with the properties to the east, and for the values to be captured by the TID district, is why we need the additional parcel added to the TID district. It also, the result of this also, by moving the park and ride lot to a property also within TID 6, will take that property off the tax roll and make it tax exempt, which means the TID would be foregoing value for that particular parcel as well. So hence the offset if we extend the TID district to include this parcel. So if you concur with it, after holding a public hearing on the item, we would ask approval for the resolution.
Sounds great. And then I'll just add on that the Joint Review Board met earlier today as well, and there wasn't any concerns or anything. So they asked some good questions. So with that, I'll open up the public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up. Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to end the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Fleischman and Schmidt. All those in favor of any of the public hearings, by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then I'll open up if there's any comments or questions by the commission. Otherwise, we're looking for approval of the resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Schmidt. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes. Moving on to B, concept plan number 1, CP-22-002, concept plan for a 96 multifamily residential unit development and 115 unit senior housing, assisted living, and memory care facility development at the former Yards Ready Mix site, located on the south side of Sand Drive by West Bend Senior Partners LLC. The applicant is Jim Emmer and Brendan Sullivan of West Bend Senior Partners, and the agent is Kevin Parrish of PSE Parrish Survey and Engineering. And we'll start off with a presentation by our Business and Development Planner, Jim Renke. Jim.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're requesting the commission to review a concept plan. Back in December of last year, the commission reviewed a previous concept plan for the redevelopment of this property. And the commission had expressed some concerns over the design and suggested layout, and suggested that layout changes be made. A revised concept has been submitted. This concept is for, essentially what will turn into 2 properties. Part of it is zoned I-1 institutional and public service, and the other portion is RM4 multifamily residential. The developer is proposing a 96 unit market rate multifamily development, and this portion would comprise of a 30 unit building, a 42 unit building, and also 6 4-unit buildings. This actually was a reduction of 4 units overall for that multifamily. The institutional development would consist of 115 units for senior living. It would be comprised of 44 units of assisted living, 20 units of memory care, and 51 units for independent living. The overall units for this proposed development would be 211 units. The commission previously had some concerns pertaining to the layouts with the location of the previously 230 unit buildings and the proximity of the single-family residential that was to the east. Also has some concerns with the internal connections between the two developments to promote better traffic flow, and then also the need for a traffic impact analysis. Due to the common elements for this development with stormwater and other facilities needed, a planned unit development overlay was suggested for this proposal. The revised concept plan does show higher density multifamily located along the southern edge and along the western edge of along the Eisenbahn Trail. So that was moved from the previous location that was along the eastern side of that development that was adjacent to the immediately adjacent to the single family to the east. The units for the assisted living has been changed also to a single footprint. Some of the amenities have been reduced on there also. Originally there was a clubhouse that was actually has been removed now from this proposal. And then the driveway would still be located one location on Sand Drive. Stormwater management will be required for this development, and they will be sharing some amenities with stormwater between the two sites. The plan does show some insufficient parking for the larger multifamily buildings, so 15 additional stalls would be needed for this to meet the code requirements. Sidewalk connection must be provided between the institutional building and the public sidewalk also. Given the size and the limits of access for the site, it is recommended that the trash corrals for the storage unit or for the storage of refuse and recycling be required for the large multifamily buildings, and the city refuse pickup would not be available for those buildings given the size of those buildings and the needs for the type of refuse needed for that. The developer is seeking endorsement of the revised concept to move forward with site plan configurations and approvals for both the institutional and the multifamily development.
Thanks so much, Jim. So as was stated, we're just looking for feedback at this time, so I'll open up for the commission if anybody has any comments or questions. Yes, sir.
I assume there's space available for the additional 15 parking spots that you said they're short in the design?
Yeah, they should be able to find an area to
We're not
find
concerned
those
about
additional,
that? Okay.
with a little bit of tweaking of the
And
site.
how is the refuse handled if the city's not doing that? I'm just
It would be through private collection.
contract.
private
out.
collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I fielded a whole bunch of emails and thanks to city staff. I think most of the questions were answered. Some of the questions were beyond my abilities, so I appreciate Mark and Jim's assistance. But just to say, this being a concept plan, there are some slight remaining concerns about the sight lines off the two cul-de-sacs, Webster and Richards. That will have to be nailed down at site plan time. At this stage with the concept, there are some best guesses, but with the site plan that comes later, when there's more to know about the excavating and et cetera, there'll be a much better picture of what those sight lines are going to be. And then the other issue that has kept coming up, understandably so, is about traffic, and that would be part of the developer's agreement. Am I correct? Is it at that stage that we require or at for site plan, or what?
So we would require it at site plan. I had been contacted by the developers team, by one of the consultants, to do the traffic impact analysis. But I told them to wait because they were going to do a traffic impact analysis on a concept plan that we had reviewed last year, but which we knew was not the final plan. So they would have to do it then, and then they would have to do it again with the final plan with all the changes. So I told them to wait until we do have a site plan, an actual site plan, which is going to be more the final configuration of the site, and then there would be the traffic analysis based on that, because we had units numbers moving up and down, and so we need to have those numbers set before we can do the final study. So I didn't want them to do the study twice, so I asked them to wait until they have a site plan developed, and then there could be a study relating to that site plan. So it is at the site plan time that we would get that.
And at some point in the past, you had mentioned you had two different options for TIAs. One was more sophisticated or more in-depth than the other, and I was kind of hoping it would be the more in-depth one.
So we follow DOT guidelines on the requirement for traffic impact analysis, and there is a threshold based on the number of driveway trips. And if the number of driveway trips in the peak hour is less than 500, then we have the option to do an abbreviated traffic impact analysis. And the difference between an abbreviated TIA and a full one is that the abbreviated TIA will look at the existing conditions and the proposed conditions immediately after the development is operational. And the full TIA would look at that, but also at projections in the future, like 10 years in the future. So this will all be determined again by the characteristics of the development, because this will give us the trip generation numbers, and then this will give us the option of whether we can go with abbreviated TIA or a full TIA. So for all that, we have to wait for the final configuration, the number of units and all that for this development. Okay. So we'll have the decision coming up once the site plan is developed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
So Justice asked a couple of questions I was going to ask, so thank you. Then you addressed the berm issue. And I assume at the site plan, when the site plan is developed, at the site plan level, we'll deal with other remaining items, such as the environmental corridor and all that. Is that correct, Jim?
Yeah, we would
Okay.
address
Thank
all
you.
that at this, once we have more detail for the development and they nail down everything, with a final layout.
Thank you.
And just one more thing, real quick, Jed. I know this is your district, so you're in touch with these people more. But one of those folks is a friend of mine, so I just want to make sure you feel like there's satisfaction in the sightline stuff. There's the potential for satisfaction in there once we get to the site plan.
It's looking pretty good. There were some questions about the roof line being visible.
Sure.
The illustration was for Webster, but not for Richards. So not all the questions have been fully answered. It's a whole lot better than we had before,
Good,
that's
good.
for sure.
Okay. Good.
I wanted to
nothing's
point
gonna be
out-
perfect, but yeah, it's good.
I wanted to point out too, and I don't know if it was a discussion I had with you, Jed. The side of the line, the sight line is shown for somebody standing at the basement level, not at the first floor level for the houses. and I was going to make that comment, but since we were going to deal with that at the site plan, but I wanted to give a heads up to the developer on that. They might want to change their little guy.
Max, I was, as part of our review of this concept, we printed out the sightlines that they gave us, and I reevaluated that. I moved the sightlines to the eye height as someone standing on the top floors of both the 4 units and the single families, and used the berm, top of berm without vegetation as a limitation factor. And both of those, as put in our memo, both of those indicate that the sight line only sees from the eve lines up.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Anything else? All right. Well, you got that feedback. Thanks to Jim, Brendan, and Kevin for their patience with us, coming back here a few times, but we look forward to seeing the site plan from here. So thank you. And we'll move on to C, conditional use permits. Number 1, CU-22-002, public hearing for a conditional use permit to amend the existing conditional use permit, which is CU-01-003, to allow for an additional communications user on the existing 110-foot cellular tower at 260 Sand Drive within the I-1 Institutional and Public Service District by SBA Structures, LLC, Dish Wireless. The applicant is them, and the agent is Shane Stubblefield of Dish. We'll start this off with a presentation by Jim. Take it away.
Thank you. So SBA Structures LLC has submitted a conditional use to amend the original conditional use for the existing cell tower. That cell tower is 110 feet. They're proposing to add a 3-panel array onto this in addition to the existing ones. These panels will be added on below the existing panels that are out there. They're also proposing a 5x7 equipment area that will be located all within their existing 50x50 lease area. The ground equipment's going to be 6.5 feet tall, and all located within that 5x6 pad area. Since this proposal is amending the original conditions of the conditional use permit, we would recommend that some of the conditions that I have listed be carried over from that original permit onto this one. All property owners within 200 feet were notified, and staff didn't receive any comments or concerns in regards to this. So staff would recommend approval with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. So this is a public hearing. I'll open that up. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Starl. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, start by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll just be looking for approval of the revised CU permit.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Model and Dolnick. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, start by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And number 2, CU-22-003, public hearing for a conditional use permit to amend the existing conditional use permit CU-03-002 to allow for an additional communications user on the existing 150-foot cellular tower at 2230 South Main Street within the I-1 Institutional Public Service District by AELF Investments. The applicant is them, and the agent is Jeff Steinberg of Crown Castle. Jim.
Thank you. So AELF Investments has submitted a conditional use also. This is very similar to what we just approved. This is on a 150-foot tower at 2230 South Main Street. Again, it's actually the same carrier that is requesting the conditional use amendment for this. Same type of equipment. Again, they will be adding their antennas below the existing ones, so the heights of the tower will not change at all. Again, it's on a 5x7 pad, and this is located within their 70 by 100 lease area. Again, we would carry over previous conditions of the other conditional use permit for this permit, and then we've also notified everyone within 200 feet, and again, we've had no comment or concerns.
Thank you, Jim. And with that, I'll open up the public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up. Oh, yes, we do.
I'm Jeff Steinberg. I'm working with Crown Castle, so I'm just here if anyone had any questions.
Sounds great.
If you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks for being here. And I heard a motion from
Second.
Commissioner Fleischman. Second. By Muddle. All in favor of ending the public hearing, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then again, we'll be looking
Motion
for
to approve.
approval. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Model and Fleischman. All in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And moving on to site plans. Number 1, SP-22-003, site plan for exterior renovations for the east side of the building located at 105 through 117 North Main Street by Tracy Serwat of TRS 105 Main LLC. The applicant is him, and the agent is Solid State Architecture. Jim.
Thank you. So TRS 105 Main Street has submitted exterior renovation plans and also a site plan for a patio addition, or I should say reconstruction, to the east side of their building. The property is within the downtown area. The architectural changes include the existing brick will be repaired and painted a cream city brick color. Copper cladding will be used to accent the facade and infill areas. The windows and doors are planned to be changed out and upgraded. And also the patio itself that they have is planned to be renovated and redone and as part of with the Riverwalk project, or I should say to complement the Riverwalk project. As a part of the changes, there are a couple of doors that are being changed that are within the floodplain elevation. Those doors would definitely have to be to comply to our current flood standards with being either flood-proofed or certified as being flood-proofed. There is a window on the far south end of the building that they were planning to enlarge. Unfortunately, due to the floodplain requirements, that window has to remain the same size, just so not to increase the flood area for the building. So there are some minor revisions that do need to be done to that. During review, staff had some questions in regards to the grades and the some drains that are being installed. So we just need some clarifications prior to issuing any permits for that. Clarifications for the grade to maintain because of the flood elevations, and then also for connections due to the Riverwalk being reconstructed. So staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions that we had for that.
Thanks, Jim. I'll open up to the commission if anybody has any comments. Yes, sir.
I wanted to add that we will need some clarification for the stormwater. The new areas of the patio, we don't know what is there right now. So if they can show that on the plan. And then, yes, like you said, Jim, we need to know where those catch basins are going. So I would say that we would need to clarify the stormwater management conditions of the site prior to approving this.
Thank you.
I will say, Max, that I did go through past photos of the site because I had the same questions. Right now, it's not a good judgment of existing condition because of the utility relocations last year along the Riverwalk. But to judge accurately what we're changing it from, it's predominantly impervious. It was either hard packed gravel or concrete back there. So there's not going to be a lot of change relative to this. But we'll get that confirmation for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I did just want to say bravo to these folks for stepping up and doing this to the back facade of their building. I'm not sure how to say that, but
Yep.
I just think that's fantastic. One of my concerns when we did in getting onto the west side of the river was that we were going to have a bunch of back buildings that weren't necessarily going to do anything about it. But these folks are, and I know, my understanding is a bunch of other folks are. And I did have a question, and this may be more of a just question actually. Is this one of the candidates for the facade improvement grant? Awesome.
Yes, well, and Jim could answer this too, he's on the committee as well, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
this project did just get awarded on Monday, $3,855 for their project.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that, too.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Nope, it'll be a real step up for
Yeah.
looking behind there, so.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracy, for investing in our downtown. Now we're just looking for approval of the site plan with those conditions.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. I heard Dolnick and Bernie. All those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And moving on to site plan number 2, SP-22-004, site plan for the redevelopment and building addition at 1710 South Main Street by Corey Presnick of Corda Westman LLC. The applicant is Corey, and the agent is the same. This is part of the exciting news that we've had in our community, and we look forward to talking about it, and we'll kick it off with Jim.
Yes, thank you. So this is the redevelopment for the former Shopko site. The proposal is to subdivide that unit into, or that building into 3 units, and then also add or build an addition to the south for the 4th additional unit. So the tenant units range from 35,000 square feet to 8,900 square feet. The property is zoned B1 Community District, Business District, and the retail alterations are being done in accordance to the zoning district. Access to the site will remain the same. What they're proposing to do is to seal coat the parking lot, restripe it. They're also adding a loading dock on the west side of the building to accommodate loading and unloading for one of the tenant units. And again, the 8,900 square foot building addition will occur on the south end of the development, and that area will just be slightly modified to accommodate the grades and the sidewalk and the building portion for that. The site lighting will be upgraded from what exists today. The landscaping areas will be cleaned up, and any of the dead and damaged plantings will be replaced within those areas. The screen refuse area does exist on the south side of the building. Stormwater management is needed. An amendment is needed for the development and is currently under review by the engineering department. And again, the grades will be slightly modified just to accommodate the new building addition area. The architectural building elevations have been included. The building itself will be repainted, and each of the tenant areas will have their entrances modified for their uses and to dress up the face of the building. The wall signage is depicted on the building. Individual permits will be required for those in compliance with the codes. Depending on the size, these sizes will be determined based on the how they appear and how they fit in with and to be appropriately sized for each tenant unit. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. I'll open up to the commission if anybody has any comments or questions. Yes, Max.
I do have a couple of questions, and Jim, maybe you know the answer. About that loading area you're talking about, those bollards are around the curve. Do they need to go all the way to that man door at the end of the sidewalk? So that's one question.
Yeah, that was a loading area for that tenant unit. That after the review that we did, originally they were showing a perpendicular unloading. Unfortunately, due to the distances we have there, we won't be able to do perpendicular. They'll have to do a parallel unloading area to meet our code for that. I did talk to the engineering designer for that. And then I did require the bollard details. Mm-hmm. We didn't want just a concrete bollard. They needed to be a little more decorative just because they are in front of the building and whatnot. I don't know. I don't believe they would need to be extended further just because that's one of their loading doors.
Sure. And then do you know if they're going to stripe that area like a loading area?
I don't believe it was on the plan, but it
Yeah, I didn't
probably
see it
wouldn't,
there either,
it probably
but
wouldn't
I
be a
didn't-
bad idea to identify that as a loading area.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Question, that's the Five Below loading dock on the south side that you're talking about?
Correct, it's all at grade. Correct.
Commissioner Mono?
Yeah, so each one of these new stores is going to be treated as a separate tenant, right? I mean, these are all four separate tenants, correct? And are they going to be, they're going to be moving into this building individually in these four separate spots and redesigning each of their own facades? I know this company's doing all of this, but they're gonna be getting separate site plans for the
No,
new
it's
facades?
it's a unified facade.
It is a unified.
Right. What you're
okay.
seeing is what's going to be constructed.
Okay.
They're just modifying these to meet their needs.
Okay.
But it will be done by them.
I see. Okay. Good, thank you.
Anything else?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you, Model and Schmidt. If there's no further comments or questions, then all those in favor of approving the site plan with conditions, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we're going to move on to zoning amendments, certified survey map, and site plan. Items 1, 2, and 3 are all about the same topic, so I'm going to read all these off, and then we'll let Jim take it from there. So the first one is number 1, ZPU-22-003, public hearing for a zoning amendment for commercial redevelopment at 815 West Paradise Drive to add a PUD, planned unit development overlay district, over the existing B1 community business district to allow for the approval of a site plan for design flexibility and for shared site amenities by PMM Development LLC. The applicant is Ram Subedi of PMM. The agent is Adam Stein of Logic Design Architecture. And number 2, CSM-22-004, a certified survey map to create 2 lots located at the southeast corner of Parkway Drive and West Paradise Drive by Ram Subedi of PMM Development. The applicant is him, and the agent is Don Chupet of Chupet Land Surveys. And then finally, number 3, SP-22-005, a site plan for commercial redevelopment at 815 West Paradise Drive by PMM Development LLC. The applicant is Ram Subedi of PMM. The agent is Adam Stein of Logic Design Architecture. Jim, tell us all about this.
Thank you. So these 3 items create the full development package for the redevelopment of the southeast corner of Paradise Drive and Parkway Drive. This was the former Shell station. What the developer is proposing is they're demolishing the building, and they're going to be creating and constructing 2 new restaurant users on that development. So the first part is the planned unit development. Planned unit development is being requested to be placed over the 1.8 acres. This, again, will help to facilitate with the redevelopment of the property, to help with the shared parking, the private utilities, shared stormwater management, drive access between this lot, or I should say these 2 lots that will be created, and then also the lot to the east where Associated Bank is. So staff would recommend approval of that zoning amendment with listed conditions that we have. And again, as part of this, it's a public hearing. We've notified everyone within 200 feet. Staff has not received any comments or concerns in regards to the zoning amendment. The next component would be this certified survey map. This certified survey map actually creates the 2 parcels. The western parcel that's located along Parkway Drive is 0.8 acres, and the eastern parcel is 0.95 acres. Again, these 2 lots are being created to have the 2 different restaurant users as proposed in the site plan. So the site plan itself is for a Chipotle, which is going to be on the west side of the development, on that 0.8 acre site, and then the eastern one on the 0.95 acre site is going to be a Panera Bread user. Both development proposals conform to the zoning requirements, and the need for the PUD, again, is for the shared parking, shared stormwater management, the private utilities that run through both the properties to serve these buildings. and then also the access for this. The development will have one access onto Parkway Drive. That access actually has been shifted from where it is today all the way to the south to maximize the traffic flow for the traffic signals. There is also cross connection to the property to the east, and that property has access to Paradise Drive. So these two properties will have access to that via easements that exist out there. The site plan has been designed for the truck turning to be done on site. They are using a smaller semi-truck, not the typical 52-foot semi. So we would have some restrictions for truck turning on that. So as part of the developers agreement that we'd make mention of, in regards to the site access for truck deliveries. Parking, the site's providing 60 total stalls between both developments to meet the needs for the parking requirements. Again, the laterals and utilities are being served from the south side of the site, from the existing mains that are just east of this that are public. Site grading, stormwater management plan is required and is currently under review. The site grades have been designed to generally drain the site to the northwest to the stormwater facilities. Site lighting is being provided throughout the site and conforms to the requirements for that. Landscaping is being provided throughout the site with perimeter landscaping, building landscaping, or I should say foundation landscaping. And staff finds the landscaping to be sufficient. The architectural building elevations for both of the developments do include signage. The wall signage will need to have separate permits and will need to conform to the sign requirements. The site plan also identifies 2 ground signs, one for each of the developments on their sites. The architectural building elevations for the 2 buildings, the Chipotle building will be a dark gray colored brick veneer along with a light gray ephes. And the building will also have some metal canopies over the main entrance area. The Panera building will be a beige colored brick veneer with a green colored ephes on the upper portion. And again, they will also be using metal canopies for that, and then also accenting with a aluminum metal panel on the upper portion of the building. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim, for that very detailed presentation. So we're going to start off, we're just talking about the zoning amendment first. So this is a public hearing. So open up the public hearing on this topic. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on out.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Lionel and Starl. All in favor of ending the public hearing, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then I'll open up to the commission. Again, we're just talking about the zoning amendment right now. Not site plan. And for that one, we're just looking for a recommendation to council for the ZPU.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Dolnick and Schmidt. All those in favor of that, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we're just talking about the certified survey map. So that's again splitting into 2 lots. So open up the commission if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, we're looking for approval of that CSM.
Well, oh, sorry.
I was going to approve it, but
Oh,
Yes.
go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to.
I just wanted to say that there will be several easements needed because, like Jim indicated, the properties will share access, and there are some laterals that go between through one property to serve the other and everything. So the CSM will mention those easements, so I'll add that comment to the site plan, that condition of approval to the site plan, since the CSM will be dependent on the site plan approval. But I just wanted to mention it there, since they will revise the CSM to just point out where those easements would be.
Yeah, we'll also have a developer's agreement for this too, so.
Okay.
Great. Commissioner Schmidt, we're going to make a motion?
Yeah, move to approve.
Second.
All right.
Second.
Sounds good.
Question, no.
On the CSM? Or on the site
I'm
plan?
not sure. I'm not sure where this question
Okay,
applies.
then I'll
Just
allow it.
let me
Just
ask
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah. So earlier we talked about Menards having doing an extension into the park and ride area. It sounds like these are kind of getting close. I can't quite picture this visually. Isn't this backing up to that Menards project a little bit, or am I way far off?
Like by the corner.
So
They
yeah,
have
if you
share
look at the
one
plan that I
corner.
have here, this is where the Shell station is. Menards is. right
Okay,
next to
so
it,
there's not a, okay, yeah.
Right, so
Gotcha.
the-
And I'm sure you guys have considered all this. I just wanted
Yeah,
to ask.
the tire shop separates those two
Okay,
developments.
okay. All right.
I guess since he opened it up now.
Yes?
I take it the car wash is getting knocked down too, is that correct?
Yes, everything on that site is
Is
being
gone.
demolished, correct.
And there is going to be a drive-through for each building, is that also correct?
Correct. So the Chipotle has a pickup window, and the plans did show that.
Yep.
They do have 4 stacking stalls for that. The Panera has a dual lane ordering, and both of those lanes have 4 stacking before they merge in for pickup.
Okay.
All right. Well, we do have a motion second on the CSM. So all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll open it up to the site plan, which I think is what everybody's questions are. And I'll start this off too, because I had a couple questions. So I guess when I looked at the property itself, I questioned how they were going to fit both of these buildings on that what seemed like a small lot. So I appreciate seeing the site plan now and getting a better understanding of that. You brought up how the lanes, Jim, were smaller maybe than average, if that's what you're trying to get at. And I guess, are you concerned at all with traffic flow? It just seems like a lot of cars and a lot happening in a small property, I guess. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Initially, we had less stacking than that it originally didn't meet the code.
Okay.
But they actually moved the menu boards forward to get the minimum requirements of our four per lane. They will have some stacking in their own private driveway. But yeah, I mean, there may or may not be a peak time that they could, block some flow on their own site.
Yeah, I'm just having nightmares about Taco Bell and Culver's, right? And I remember those conversations.
The developers have worked with us
Yeah.
on this. As Jim indicated, they've moved some of it. The Chipotle process for their pickup is order online and pickup only, so you don't have the same measuring point for a menu board that you do on the other sites. The Panera site, they've improved it, and if they have a problem, if they have that much business that it's a problem, we've made sure that the backup on it it's their issue within the site. It is not backing into public road right away.
Yep.
So they also had the initial development. We asked them to move it. They had the entrance the main entrance to this parcel on Parkway Drive further north, and that caused some issues regarding some of the queuing spaces and backup areas for that. They worked with us to amend all of that.
Great. And then my only other question was regards to deliveries. I'm not sure if it's already here. Where do they plan on doing deliveries in the midst of all this?
So the
Is there
deliveries
like a set spot?
Yeah, the deliveries would come in from the south side,
Okay.
and then basically for Panera, it would be on their south or east side. Then the Chipotle, they would end up looping around the development and unloading probably up in here. They come in off around and come in here, and
Okay.
Panera would probably come in somewhere right around here.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Any other questions?
I got one.
Yep.
Just to clarify, Chipotle is just calling ahead? You're not ordering and then moving ahead?
That's what they've represented to us. They call it a Chipotle lane.
Okay. So there's no concern coming in off of Parkway and then stacking, blocking the parking or the exit from the?
Doesn't look like it, but again, when we approve site plans, we're approving a building that's going to be there. If it's Chipotle now, it may not be Chipotle 10 years, 15 years from now. We looked at that, and they made provision. They did demonstrate to us that if they did put a menu board in, that would still meet our code requirement.
Okay, I'm just a little concerned with coming in off of Parkway, but that would change in the future of blocking traffic flow out of there on the west side coming south.
Again, the impact would be on their site actions, not on the public right away. It wouldn't cause it. The only thing we did express to them, hence the discussion of the truck access, they've demonstrated truck turning movements within the site, but for only a specific size of vehicle. They're representing that that's what these particular users use, their vendors use to supply these two types of sites. Doesn't mean that future that might change, but again, they won't be able to get that a full-size semi through that and make the movements. It's not that they're a substandard drive lanes or anything, it's because of the tightness of the turning movements within it. But again, that's their site, and we did express to them that there will be no truck parking out on the public road and offloading off-site. They would be cited for that.
Yes.
I guess I'll defer to Max. To me, it looks like when a vehicle pulls in off of Parkway and goes past Chipotle, and then it wants to make a left to get into one of those two ordering lanes at Panera, it looks like it's an awfully tight turning maneuver, and I wonder if they're going to be able to stack properly.
Yes, I'm trying to find the page where they're showing the vehicle stacked.
I can't find it either.
Yes, it's after the landscape plan.
And I could be, as a matter of philosophy, if it's not and it's screwed up, it is, as Mark said, not going to be on our streets. It's going to be there, and it'll be bad for business. But
Yeah,
it
does
looks
look
awfully
tight.
tight.
It does look tight. I don't have any vehicle turning movement exhibit, I guess, and I don't know if that would be okay, Mark, but if it's too tight, is it possible for them to shorten that median island on the west side and potentially materialize that nose either with the mountable curb or painted pavement markings or something to allow vehicles to kind of overlap that area while they make the turn to get in the northern lane through that order lane?
Looking at this, what percentage of traffic do you think would come in off of Paradise in front of the bank? Because there's that entrance also, where that interior lane for that drive-through wouldn't be an issue accessing it from the north turning in. So I kind of see it both ways, right? If all the traffic is coming off of Parkway, it may be an issue, but I'm thinking with these restaurants, there's going to be a fair amount coming from the north, past the bank, circling around. But yeah, I agree with Max. That's an option if they do have an issue, but I don't see it as that big of an issue, thinking that there will be some traffic coming from the north.
Yeah.
The developer and the engineer are here, so if you guys want to.
Coming up, guys, if you don't mind introducing yourself first, then we can talk.
Sure. Mark Seidel, Pinnacle Engineering Group, 20725 Watertown Road in Brookfield, civil engineer for the project. So I think one of the, I got a couple of folks. I think I'll try to address that turning radius comment that was just brought up. So we've run car turning simulations plus truck turning simulations. And one of the options we brought up is, what if we cut off that westernmost 5 to 10 feet of that landscape island and just stripe that instead? That would also give us a little additional turning maneuvering. But I do want to stress, we did run the models and it does work as shown on the plan. But that's obviously an option we could definitely explore.
Does that answer your question, Max?
Yes. So, like I said, I had not seen the model with the vehicles, but if it's working, they could implement it. And then if it's really a problem, as you know, the days, weeks, months go by, and it needs an adjustment with the western nose of that island, then they can probably modify that as needed.
Anything else?
Yeah, especially if there's the option to make that modification. I can't see there being a problem, no.
Yeah.
I agree.
I have a couple of questions. And I know we're going to work at that with revising the site plan as Jim indicated, but I wanted to give you a heads up that the water lateral to Panera, that line that's existing, that's coming into your site, we have records that show that it's actually a 2-inch line and not an 8-inch line. And I don't know, I saw that Chipotle needed only a 1.5-inch line. I don't know if Panera does need the bigger line for fire protection or whatever. And I don't know if, you have reached that area, probably not in exploration, demolition, or whatever, and if you found that pipe, to verify. So I just wanted to raise the flag to verify the diameter of that pipe compared to what you need. And then the plantings along Parkway, so we had concerns with the little space between the pond and the right-of-way, and having everything squeezed tight there. We're concerned with, obviously, things ending up in the pond with leaves, etc. And obviously we wanted those items out of the pond, but then not in the right-of-way, especially the trees, concerned about the roots popping the sidewalk. So I don't know if that's an option to remove the trees and just leave the shrubs. I'm just asking the question at this time. And then finally, the last item, but that's more a question for Jim, regarding the sign that's right behind the vision triangle. I saw on the plan that it was proposed at 4.5 feet behind the right-of-way line. And we're saying, well, we should move it back in order to meet the 5-foot setback. Mm-hmm. But if we do that, then it ends up within the pond. I'm going to call it zone of influence, but basically where the water is going to go in the pond. And so my question is, would there be a way for Plan Commission to grant an exception to leave the sign where they are proposing it for 0.5 foot to be closer to the right-of-way, so that then it would not impede the stormwater management on the site?
Yeah, that would have to be part of the PUD, but we didn't. We did advertise for the flexibility of it. It could be a possibility, but again, that's the call of the Plan Commission. I noticed that when we did my final review. That's why there was a comment about the 5-foot minimum. And again, we didn't have any requests for that change, so I didn't. I was keeping it at the 5-foot minimum. But again, if there is reason for it, or if the commission finds it to be acceptable, I mean, we try to hold everything to the same standards, for all the developments with the 5-foot minimum.
I don't know if I can just speak to that, I guess, monument or pylon sign question. Would it be an option to go from monument sign to a pylon sign on that corner to alleviate some of the foundation and size issues, I guess?
Again, that's a request to the Plan Commission. We don't have any design plans for it. We don't have, I have nothing to proposed to the commission. But typically, we've done just the monument-type sign bases.
Okay.
Because that's the
Sure.
typical community standard that we
Yeah,
have.
no, that's fine. I was just asking just overall intent and what you guys seen in the community.
Right.
I think one of the things I wanted to point out about the monument sign, and I fully support what Max said, the vision corner setback is from, I believe the zoning code reads, from property line. It's set back a certain distance to the east and a certain distance to the south. if I
Correct.
remember.
It's, in this case, it's a 35-foot vision triangle
Correct.
from the right-of-way lines.
But I think
So-
it's important to note that the right-of-way lines are significantly off the actual street here in this corner, right? There's a large distance from the actual roadway to the right-of-way or property line. So by pushing that monument sign a couple feet closer to the corner, I think you still have way more than 35. It's more like, what, 70 feet? If you look at cars to cars, you know, the actual view from car to car. So I think you have a lot of room. Something for consideration.
Max, if I can ask you a question, the proximity to the other storm sewers facilities that are in that right-of-way, is reducing that setback only a half a foot going to be any issue for your doing repairs and modifications in the future in that right-of-way area? I know we're not going to be looking for more right-of-way width for the road, but we have infrastructure within that grass area.
So I guess you're asking me if leaving it at 4.5 feet, is this going to cause problems for future maintenance of those utilities?
Yes.
I don't think so. When I looked at this, my conclusion was that it was better to have it at 4.5 feet instead of 5 feet.
I don't disagree with you, and the commission does have the authority under, as Jim indicated, under the PUD to vary that setback site-specific. And if you don't have a problem, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a reason for us not to do that, because to go to the monument sign, this typically doesn't rise to the level of where we have allowed monument signs. We usually have height grade differentials that we have to overcome, or vision distances from the road right-of-way that are cause problems. We've had one where the sign base is 15 feet below the road. Well, monument sign doesn't work real well in that case. But this didn't rise to that level, and if the 4.5 foot exception isn't an issue for our engineer, I guess my recommendation is to allow them to do it according to their site plan.
Appreciate it.
Sounds great.
I have one more item.
All right, I'll let you, Max.
Loud, Max.
I'm sorry. So I reviewed the TIA recommendations, and you guys are already doing, there were 2 recommendations, and you guys are already doing one of them by moving the driveway south as much as possible based on the other site restrictions. The second one was regarding that shrub that's in front of the Goodyear sign, and took a look at it, and it looks like it's halfway on your property, halfway on the property to the south, and the whole thing was sight distance vision with that shrub being so close to the driveway. I looked at pictures from 2013 and 2015, and I could see how the shrub went from this to this to this. And so it might be an issue of cutting down the shrub, but I don't know how that's going to work between you and your neighbor. But somewhere there, we need to find an agreement to cut down the shrubs and provide the side distance that we need. I just wanted to mention that so you could approach your neighbor or something.
We already did, Max, and
Okay.
we're going to replace that, shrub and, have something that is, better manageable. So we don't, this doesn't overgrow and create, vision impediment at a later date.
Okay, thank you. And then I wanted to ask Mark if maybe those shrubs were put there for screening of transformers in that area.
Actually, I think those were on a sign base
Probably the sign base.
for the Goodyear site, not for the transformer pads or switch gear that's near there. But and I think I agree with you. We looked at the site plan, and we also double checked. You have an encroachment within your property from the Goodyear for their sign head that was modified at some point and now extends into your property improperly. It's really, I mean, it doesn't impact the city as much as it does your property. And if you're, again, it's more of a neighborly thing if you guys want to work on that.
Yes,
That's
it's a
up to you,
neighbor
though.
thing, I think, neighbor is cooperating, so it doesn't hurt that sign, being enclosed, to our lot, doesn't hurt anything. Just for the record, that transformer is being moved to a different location, so that screening, if that was properly for the transformer, that may not need anymore.
We appreciate it. We figured your first snow plowing event would remove it anyway, so.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the site plan?
So would a motion to approve as the site plan sits handle the half-foot variance?
We don't need to alter it. We know that you're allowing that. We'll
It'll be
detail that
noted
in the minutes.
Okay.
But we would still ask for the conditions that we included in general, because there's a lot of implementation issues
Okay.
that we still have to take care of.
Okay, motion to approve including conditions.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Schmidt. Hey, if there's no further questions, all those in favor of the site plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for investing in the city.
Thank you. I just wanted to say my name is Ram, and Jim, Max, you guys are great. The plan commission should take pride on them, and they are so informative, so prompt, and so helpful. That's awesome to see. Thank you.
Awesome. That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
So proud of you guys. Good job, guys.
All right. So then the next 4, 5, 6, F1 and F2 all are about the same thing. So just give me a minute. Let me read these off, and then we'll let Jim go from there. So if you want to go for a bathroom break, right now is the time while I read this. So first off is number 4, ZPU-2022-001, public hearing for a zoning amendment at 575 West Paradise Drive. The amendment is to extend the existing PUD, Planned Unit Development Overlay District, to the west over newly acquired lands to allow for the approval of a site plan of this property for the expansion of the existing retail store by Nick Brenner of Menards, Inc. The applicant is him, and the agent is Mackenzie Stewart of PSE. Number 5, CSM-22-002, certified survey map to combine 2 lots located at 575 West Paradise Drive by Nick Brenner again of Menards. Applicant is him, and agent is Mackenzie Stewart again. Number 6, SP-22-001, a site plan for the expansion of the existing retail store located at 575 West Paradise Drive by Nick Brenner of Menards. Applicant is him, the agent is Mackenzie as well. And we move on to F, which is conditional use permits and site plan number 1, CU-22-001, public hearing for request for a conditional use permit to allow for a park and ride parking lot located on the south side of Parkway Drive, northwest of 2180 South Main Street, within the M2 Heavy Industrial District by Nick Brenner of Menards. Applicant is him. Agent is Mackenzie once again. And finally, number 2, SP-22-002, a site plan to construct a park and ride parking lot located on the south side of Parkway Drive, northwest of 2180 South Main Street by Nick Brenner. The applicant is, you wouldn't guess it, Nick Brenner of Menards, and the agent is Mackenzie as well. Jim.
Thank you. So the PUD portion, or Planned Unit Development portion, is for the newly acquired, the area that the Menards is acquiring, the old park and ride lot. This amendment will extend the existing Planned Unit Development over to the west over this property, and the same conditions of the original zoning amendment for the Menards site will follow suit with this one. And again, it's just the extension of that to facilitate for the redevelopment or I should say for the addition on that. The certified survey map, again, is just to combine that area that they're acquiring, though I believe it's 1.1 acres that they're acquiring, to create a 16-acre site for this. And again, this is all to facilitate for the building expansion for Menards. The actual building expansion for Menards includes a 12,500 square foot indoor storage area. That's a natural extension of the existing building. The yard will also be extended to the west, and that will house outdoor storage similar to what's existing today. This is all to help facilitate all this, and also changes the TID number 6 boundary that we have for that development. Access to the site will continue to be from Parkway Drive. The existing driveway will actually move to the west. Some of the utilities within the site, there's a water lateral or a water main, 10-inch water main that exists in there, that will be relocated to the west into that new driveway area to the west of the building addition. Stormwater management amendment has been submitted and is under review. And again, the grades themselves have been designed to drain to the west of various storm sewer systems, which then discharges to the south. Site lighting is identified on the plan. They're going to modify that as needed for the driveway being proposed, and then also along in the storage areas. The architectural building elevations do include the extension of the building to be the same brick along that north face of the building, and then along the west and south sides, the fencing that exists out there today will be extended to extend into the to define that outdoor storage area. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions. Then as a part of this, the Menards is also proposing to relocate the existing park and ride, which is west of their building. They are going to be moving this to the south side of Parkway Drive at the northwest corner of the Myers site. They had a 1 acre vacant lot up there, and they're proposing to reconstruct, or I should say construct and relocate that park and ride to this parcel. The conditional use is required for this because of the standalone parking facility that's being proposed. Under the zoning for that district, a conditional use is required. So the park and ride itself will consist of 90 parking stalls. They'll have access off Parkway Drive. There will be 2 driveways accessing that parking lot off of the private access, or I should say the driveway into the site. This driveway is typically used for the semi-truck deliveries for the site, and it also does connect to the northern portion parking lot north of their garden center. Stormwater management has been designed to drain to the northwest corner. That will then be conveyed to the south to the existing stormwater pond south of the building, or south of the parking lot. Stormwater management plan amendment has been submitted and is also being reviewed by the engineering department. Landscaping is being provided. There's minimal landscaping, essentially trees that are being planted in the landscape island areas. Site lighting is also proposed along the perimeter of the parking lot. As part of the review, engineering is requesting some calculations for traffic generations to make sure that the traffic volume does comply with the traffic impact analysis that was approved for the Myers development. Again, staff would also recommend approval of this site plan with the listed conditions.
Sounds great. So we'll start off with the zoning amendment. This is a public hearing for the Menards project. So if anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up and let us know what's on your mind.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Model and Newman. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then on this specific item, we're looking for a recommendation to council.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Model and Fleischman. Any questions on this? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Then we'll move on to the certified survey map for the Menards property. If there's any discussion for the commission, otherwise we're looking for approval of that CSM.
Second.
Thank you, Dolnick and Muddle. If there's no further comments, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And moving on to the site plan for Menards. We're just looking for approval of that as well, unless there's any comments. Yes.
So they're moving the park and ride over to the back alley, the back part of the Myers area. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay, and there's going to be shared access with trucking for delivery to Myers.
No, so
Did I misunderstand that? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. So Myers, they have the driveway that exists there. That driveway actually leads to the back of the building for their deliveries.
Sure.
This parcel actually has access off of that driveway.
Okay, so park and ride folks are going to be going in the same place as the delivery drivers.
Yeah, and
Okay, we don't see any problems with it.
anyone could use that driveway right now, even to get into the parking lot for
I see. Okay.
for Myers
Okay.
also.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
When the land division was created by Myers, the parcel that that Menards is purchasing for the park and ride lot relocation was restricted to access to that private drive. It doesn't have direct access to Parkway.
I see. Okay, and that was my next question. Is so Menards is purchasing this? It doesn't own it now.
That is correct.
Man, you guys have been busy, haven't you? Good Lord. Sorry. Okay. Motion approved.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mono
I didn't see you
Fleischman,
back
and
there.
then, yes, Commissioner Marischal.
Yes, I just have quick question regarding the existing curb ramp. So my understanding is that there is an agreement between the park and ride lot and the movie theater, and somebody's allowed to use the other one's parking lot for overflow. There were some signs indicating that the movie theater parking lot was an overflow for the park and ride. At some point, I was led to believe that it was reciprocal, and so the movie theater could use the park and ride too. Different hours of operation, so that would work well. And then, so at the time, there was a mid-block crossing that was installed, and I just want to, and I know we're going to work through the site plan technical corrections. Just wanted to give the developers a heads up that we would want those curb ramps removed and those signs taken down to eliminate that mid-block crossing, because it would not be needed for that purpose anymore, since now they would be side by side on the same side of the road. That's all I had.
So that might be just misleading then, or?
Yes, because that crossing was solely for that purpose.
Yeah, okay.
And now that it's gone, then it's not needed.
Sure.
Okay. Any other comments on the site plan for Menards, which is the agenda item that we're on? All right. We do have a motion second. All those in favor of that site plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we are on the conditional use permit. This is now for that park and ride lot. And this is a public hearing. So if anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up.
Sorry, I keep doing that.
It's okay. Thank you.
Second.
Fleischman and Amato. All those in favor of ending the public hearings, let me saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Then we're looking for approval of that CU and, yes, of that CU and site plan.
Motion
CU.
approved.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Model and Fleischman. All those in favor of approving the CUs, by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we're on the site plan for the park and ride. Any comments, questions on that? Otherwise, we're looking for approval as well.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you, Model and
sorry.
Schmidt. Yes.
Jim listed a bunch of items that are condition of the approval, and I wanted to make sure that the existing drainage easement that is on that outlot where the new park and ride lot will be, there's going to be part of the parking lot built within that drainage easement, and we want to make sure that the recorded document for that easement would allow that as far as the grading and the capacity of the drainage way. So the applicant will need to research that easement agreement. And then I guess the rest of it we can deal with at the site plan technical corrections.
Just, Max, for clarification on that easement, I did pull that document, and they are allowed to encroach 15 feet into that easement for their parking lot.
Okay.
They do have the exclusive rights to encroach into that, the 15 feet. The grading portion will have to just, be looked at for capacity though. But the parking lot portion can encroach in there 15 feet by the agreement that they have for that easement.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Otherwise, we do have a motion second. So all those in favor of the site plan, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, and that passes. And last but not least, we're on extraterritorial certified survey maps number 1, XCSM 22-005, an extraterritorial certified survey map to create 2 9.6 acre lots located on the east side of Good Luck Lane in the town of Martin by Kevin Parrish. The applicant is Kevin, and the agent is the same. Jim.
Thank you. This certified survey map is located just under a mile just northwest of the city. On Good Luck Lane, the purpose is to create 2 residential lots for construction. This area is not within the city's sewer service area, but is in the planning area and is identified as agricultural. Given the proximity of this use and the other residential uses to the south, staff wouldn't object to that residential use. Both lots would have access to Good Luck Lane. A 33-foot half right-of-way is being dedicated to the town for Good Luck Lane, and then also a 17-foot road reservation is being provided for Good Luck Lane in accordance with our official map. The technical corrections that I had listed or noted in here have been already made. Staff just needs to verify that everything has been corrected, but staff would recommend approval of that CSM.
Sounds great. Any questions for Jim?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Model and Fleischman. All those in favor of approvals, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And an hour and 20 minutes, not bad.
Better than I thought.
Having no further business for the Plan Commission, I adjourn by the call of the chair. Have a great night.